The council chamber stretched wide and tall, its walls made of something that looked like crystal but felt warm to the touch. 12 seats formed a circle, each one holding a representative from a different species. Some looked like insects, others like flowing water given shape. One resembled a tree with eyes. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years, and they were very proud of their peace. Captain Daewon Kim stood in the center of the circle. His uniform was dark blue with silver marks that showed he had fought in wars. His face had lines that came from worry, not age. Next to him stood Dr. Hana Cho, carrying a case full of evidence that no one wanted to see. Daewon activated the hologram projector. Images filled the air above them. Destroyed settlements, burned worlds, bodies that had been turned to ash so fine it looked like snow. 17 colonies have gone silent in the past 6 months, Daewon said. His voice was steady, but his hands were tight fists. Not just silent, gone, erased. When our ships arrived, we found nothing but ruins. Counselor Vrex leaned forward in his seat. He was tall and covered in green scales that reflected the light. His species had not fought a war in 3,000 years. Captain Kim, your species has been part of this council for only 50 years. Perhaps you do not understand how things work in civilized space. I understand that people are dying, Daewon replied. Vrex made a sound like laughter, but colder. Colonies fail. Equipment breaks. People make mistakes. This is not evidence of an enemy. This is evidence that humans see enemies everywhere because you are a violent species. Hana stepped forward. She opened her case and pulled out a sealed container. Inside was something that looked like a piece of metal, but it moved like it was alive. This was found at one of the sites. It is not from any known species in the Council database. Its molecular structure suggests a weapon designed to break down organic matter at the cellular level. The High Arbiter Thesic spoke. Thesic was ancient, made of living crystal that hummed with soft light. Dr. Cho, we appreciate your concern. But the galaxy is vast. There are many things we have not catalogued. This does not mean war. It means someone is out there, Hana said. Someone with technology we have never seen. Someone who is killing entire populations. Byung-ho Park, who stood behind Daewon, accessed his datapad. He sent new information to the council screens. We have intercepted 3 distress calls in the last month. All cut off mid-transmission, all from the same sector. The last one included visual data. The screen showed static, then cleared for just 3 seconds. A massive ship dark as space itself hung above a planet. The planet's surface glowed red. Then the transmission ended. That could be anything, Rex said. A natural phenomenon. A mining operation gone wrong. Daewon felt something hot and angry rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. We sent a team to investigate that planet. The atmosphere had been stripped away. The oceans were gone. Every city had been melted into glass. 18 million people lived there. We found bones, Counselor. Just bones and ash. The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then another counselor spoke. One who looked like a column of organized insects. If what you say is true, where is this enemy now?
Why have we not seen them?
They are moving toward the core systems, Daewon said. They hit outer colonies first. Remote places. Places where no one will notice right away. By the time you realize they are coming, they will be at your door. Thesic's light dimmed. Captain, we have maintained peace for longer than your species has existed. We have sensors throughout this region. We have treaties and alliances. If there was a threat of this magnitude, we would know. You know now, Daewon said, his voice harder. I am standing here telling you. Frex stood up from his seat. What you are telling us is that we should abandon our peaceful ways. That we should build weapons and train soldiers. That we should become like humans, always ready for war, always afraid. I am telling you to prepare, Daewon replied. I am telling you that something is coming, and if you are not ready, you will die. Enough, Thesic said, and the word filled the chamber like thunder. We will vote. Should the council allocate resources to investigate these claims and prepare military defenses? Daewon watched as each counselor cast their vote. One by one, they chose no. Only the human representative voted yes. 11-1. The decision was final. Thesic looked at Daewon with something that might have been pity. Captain Kim, we understand that your species has a difficult history. You have known war and suffering. But that is not the way of the Council. We choose peace. We choose to trust in the systems that have protected us for millennia. Your systems will not protect you from this, Day One said quietly. Then we will face that when it comes, Vrex said. If it comes. Which it will not, Hana closed her case. Her hands were shaking. You are making a mistake. We are choosing civilization over paranoia, Thesic said. This session is concluded. Day One, Hana, and Byung-ho left the chamber. The doors closed behind them with a sound like a tomb ceiling. In the hallway, Byung-ho finally spoke. They will not listen. No, Day One agreed. They will not listen until it is too late. What do we do? Hana asked. Day One looked back at the closed doors. Behind them, the council was already moving on to other business. Trade agreements, border disputes, things that would not matter soon. We prepare anyway, Day One said. We warn every human colony. We build defenses. We get ready. For what? Byung-ho asked. Day One remembered the images from the data feeds. The bones, the ash. The silence where cities used to sing with life. For the moment when they realize we were right. And for the moment when they come asking for help. Will we help them? Hana asked. After they refuse to help us? Day One was quiet for a long time. Then he said yes, because that is what humans do. We remember everyone who was lost, and we try to make sure no one else is lost the same way. They walked down the long hallway, 3 humans in a station full of aliens who thought peace would last forever. Behind them, in the council chamber, representatives laughed and talked about things that did not matter. None of them knew that in 3 months, one of them would be dead. All of them would be gone, and the only warning would be ash and silence. Commander Taemin Choi did not like the silence. Space was always quiet, but this was different. This was the kind of quiet that came when something was very wrong. The bridge of the Indomitable was small and efficient. Human ships were not beautiful like alien vessels. They were built for function, for survival, for war if needed. Taemin sat in his captain's chair, watching the screens that showed empty space ahead. Still nothing? He asked. Lieutenant Yoon Han sat at the communications station. She had been trying to reach the Vrelian home system for 2 hours. No, sir. All 5 planets are silent. No commercial traffic, no government channels, no emergency broadcasts, nothing. Young-Soo Kang stood at the weapons console even though there was nothing to shoot at. Could be a technical problem. Maybe their relay satellites went down. All of them? Yoonji said. At the same time. On 5 different planets. Mira Sohn, the chief engineer, came onto the bridge. Her hands were stained with grease from working on the engines. Commander, our orders are to patrol this sector, not investigate Vrelian space. I know what our orders are, Taemin said. He had been thinking about those orders for the past hour. He had also been thinking about Captain Daewon's warning 3 months ago. The warning that no one had believed. Sir, Yoonji said, her voice different now, worried. I am picking up something strange. Energy signatures near the Vrelian border. They do not match any known ship types. Taemin made his decision. Set course for the Vrelian home system. Maximum speed. Commander, that is against orders, Mira said. Yes, Taemin agreed. It is. But if I am wrong, they can punish me. If I am right and we do nothing, we will regret it for the rest of our lives. The Indomitable moved through space faster than most ships could. Human engines were designed to run hot and hard when needed. It took them 6 hours to reach the Vrelian system. 6 hours during which the silence grew heavier. When they arrived, Young-Soo saw it first. Sir, sensors are showing. I do not understand these readings. What do you see? Taemin asked. The planets, sir. They are there, but the readings are wrong. No electromagnetic emissions. No heat signatures from cities. No orbital stations, nothing. Taemin stood up from his chair. Take us closer, carefully. The Indomitable moved into the system like a mouse entering a room where a cat might be hiding. The crew was silent. Even the normal sounds of the ship seemed too loud. The first planet appeared on the main screen. It had once been beautiful, covered in purple oceans and silver cities. Now it was gray. The oceans were gone. The cities were just dark spots on a dead surface. What happened here? Yoonji whispered. They moved to the second planet. It was worse. The atmosphere had been stripped away completely. The surface looked like it had been melted and then frozen again. Nothing lived there. Nothing could live there. By the 5th planet, the crew was not speaking at all. Young-Soo's face was pale. Mira was crying quietly. Yoonji just stared at her screen. 8 billion people, Taemin said. The Vrelians had 8 billion people in this system. There is no one left, Young-Soo said. Sensors show no life signs anywhere. Not on the planets. Not in space. No one. Yoonji checked her instruments again and again, hoping they were wrong. Sir, I'm detecting a faint energy trail. It is old. Maybe 6 or 7 hours. Something big was here. Multiple ships. They left heading toward the galactic core. Can you track them? Taemin asked. The trail is fading, but yes. For a little while longer. Taemin thought about following that trail. He thought about seeing who did this. Then he thought about his crew and his ship, and what might happen if they caught up to something that could kill 8 billion people. No, he said. We need to report this. Take us down to the 3rd planet. I want to look for evidence. Anything that can tell us what happened. The Indomitable landed near what had been the capital city. Taemin took a team down to the surface. They wore protective suits because the air was poison now. Where buildings had stood, there was only twisted metal and glass. The ground was covered in ash so fine it moved like water when they walked. Young-Soo found something half buried in the debris. A data core? Damaged, but maybe still working. This might have recordings. They brought it back to the ship. Mira worked on it for 3 hours while the rest of them waited. Finally, she got it working. The recordings played on the bridge screen. It showed a city full of people. The Vrelians looked like tall, thin lizards with gentle eyes. They were going about their day, walking through streets, playing with their children. Then the sky went dark, ships appeared. Massive ships, black and angular like someone had built them to look like nightmares. They did not broadcast any message. They did not give any warning. They just started firing. The weapons were terrible. Where they hit, matter did not explode. It just stopped being. Buildings disappeared. People turned to ash in seconds. The Vrelians tried to fight back, but their weapons did nothing to the black ships. Then came the ground forces. Things that looked like machines but moved like animals. They swept through the streets, killing everything. The recording showed a Vrelian mother holding her child, and then they were both gone and there was only ash. The last part of the recording was from orbit. It showed the black ships doing something to the atmosphere, pulling it away like stripping skin from meat. Then the recording ended. Yoonji was sick. She ran from the bridge and they could hear her in the bathroom. Mira had stopped crying. Her face was hard now, angry. Young-Soo just kept staring at the blank screen. This is what Captain Daewon warned them about, Taemin said quietly. This is what the council said was not real. What do we call them? Young-Soo asked. These things. Taemin thought about what he had seen. The complete destruction, the total lack of mercy, the silence they left behind. The Vrelian files had a designation. They called them the Ravagers. Good name, Young-Soo said. Taemin returned to his chair. Yoonji, when you are ready, send an emergency broadcast. Send it to Apex Prime, to all council worlds, to every human colony. Send them everything we found. The recordings, the sensor data, all of it. Yoonji came back to the bridge. Her face was wet, but her voice was steady. What should the message say, sir? Taemin looked at the dead planet on the screen. He thought about the Vrelian children who would never grow up. He thought about Counselor Vrex who had laughed at human warnings. Vrex was down there somewhere, bones and ash like all the rest. Tell them we found the Vrelian system, Taemin said. Tell them everyone is dead. Tell them Captain Daewon was right. Tell them the enemy is real and it is coming. The Indomitable left the dead system behind. As they moved back into clear space, Yoonji sent the message. It would reach Apex Prime in 3 days. It would reach the Council worlds in 4. By then, 2 more systems would be silent. By then, the galaxy would begin to understand what humans had known all along. That peace without preparation was just death waiting to arrive. The council chamber was different now. 2 weeks ago, it had been full of confident voices and easy laughter. Now it was full of fear. 4 seats were empty. The species that had sat in those seats no longer existed. Admiral Sun Woo Lee stood where Captain Daewon had stood months before. But Sun Woo was not asking for permission. Sun Woo was telling them what would happen next. Ambassador Ji-won Baek stood beside her. Ji-won's face showed no emotion, but her eyes were cold. She had lost family on one of the destroyed worlds. She had received the message telling her they were gone at the same time she received the apology from the council. High Arbiter Thesic looked smaller now. The light inside the crystal body was dim. Admiral Lee, the council formally requests assistance from humanity. We acknowledge our error in judgment. We should have listened. Yes, Ji-won said simply. You should have. Counselor Nixara, who looked like a collection of organized insects, made a sound of distress. Please, we need help. Our worlds are defenseless. We have no weapons, no soldiers, no way to fight. You had time to build those things, Jiwan said. 3 months. Captain Day 1 gave you 3 months warning. You chose not to listen. We were wrong, Thesic said. The words seemed to hurt. We were arrogant. We thought our peace made us safe. We were wrong. Sunwoo activated a hologram. It showed the galaxy with red marks spreading across it like a disease. The Ravagers are moving in a pattern. They started at the outer rim and they are working their way in. Each attack is faster than the last. They are learning our defenses while you had none to learn. How long? Asked another counselor, one who looked like water held in a glass shape. How long until they reach the core worlds? General Hyunwoo Nam, who stood behind Sunwoo, answered. 8 months. Maybe less if they speed up. The Vrelian system fell in less than a day. The others took even less time. They are efficient. What do we do? Nixara asked. Sunwoo looked at each counselor in turn. You militarize. All of you. Every world, every species, every person who can hold a weapon or pilot a ship. That is not our way, Thesic said weakly. Your way is dead, Jiwan said. It died with the Vrelians. It died with 8 billion people who trusted you to keep them safe. Now you have a choice. You can keep your way and die, or you can do what humans have done for thousands of years. You can survive. The council chamber was silent. Then Nixara spoke. What do you need from us? Sunwoo changed the hologram. Now it showed ships, weapons, defensive stations. Everything. I need factories building weapons day and night. I need every ship you have converted for military use. I need soldiers. Millions of them. Our people do not know how to fight, said the water counselor. Then we will teach them, Sunwoo said. Human military advisors will be assigned to each of your worlds. They will train your people. It will not be comfortable. It will not be easy. Many of them will not want to do it. Show them, Jiwan said quietly. Hyunwoo activated another hologram. It showed footage from the Vrelian data core. The same footage that had made Unji sick. The cities disappearing, the people turning to ash, the ground forces that showed no mercy. Several counselors looked away. Nixara made a sound like crying, but they all watched until the end. That is what happens if you are not ready, Sunwoo said. That is what happens to peaceful people when violent people come calling. You asked what you should do. I am telling you. Fight or become ash. Thesic's light brightened a little. The council grants you emergency military authority, Admiral Lee. All our resources are yours. All our worlds will follow your commands. We put our survival in your hands. No, Sunwoo said. You put your survival in your own hands. We will show you how. But you have to do the work. You have to be willing to change everything about who you are. Can you do that? One by one, the counselors agreed. They had no choice. Their pride was gone. Their peace was gone. All that was left was the desire to live. Over the next weeks, the galaxy transformed. Human advisors landed on peaceful worlds that had never seen soldiers. They set up training camps. They taught farmers how to shoot. They taught scientists how to build bombs. They taught children how to hide when the sirens sounded. It was hard. The alien species did not understand military discipline. They did not understand why they had to practice killing. They did not understand acceptable losses or strategic retreat, or any of the things humans had learned through centuries of war. Colonel Sang Huno ran a training camp on one of the insectoid worlds. He watched his alien recruits struggle with basic drills. They were soft. They were kind. They had never heard anything in their lives. They are not ready, his second-in-command said. No, Sang-hoon agreed, but they will never be ready. We just have to make them ready enough. He pushed them harder. He made them run until they cried. He made them shoot targets until their hands bled. When they complained, he showed them the footage. When they said it was too hard, he told them about the 8 billion dead. Slowly, they changed. The soft ones became harder. The kind ones learned to be cruel when needed. They did not like what they were becoming, but they understood why. In orbit above every major world, defensive stations went up. They were built fast and ugly. Not like the beautiful constructions the aliens usually made. They were human-style stations covered in weapons and armor and nothing else. Wing Commander Jae-hyun Lim trained alien pilots. Most of them had flown only cargo ships or pleasure craft. Now they had to learn combat maneuvers, attack patterns, evasive action. You fly too carefully, Jae-hyun told them. You try not to stress your ship. In combat, you push the ship until it breaks or you die. There is no middle ground. The alien pilots crashed often. Some of them died during training. Jae-hyun felt sick every time it happened, but he did not stop. Better they die learning than die when the Ravagers came. Dr. In Soo-yoon worked in a research facility, trying to develop defenses against Ravager weapons. The weapons that made matter stop existing were hard to understand. They violated several laws of physics as humans understood them. We need more time, In-soo told Sunwoo during a briefing. There is no more time, Sunwoo replied. Give me what you have now. Make it work. In-soo created shield generators that might withstand a few hits from Ravager weapons. Might. She created jamming devices that might confuse their sensors. Might. Nothing was certain. Everything was a desperate guess. 5 months after the Vrelian genocide, Hyunwoo called a meeting of all senior commanders. The hologram he showed made everyone in the room go quiet. They are here, Hyunwoo said. The Ravagers have reached the defensive line we established. The Tetris line, 300 ships, more than we expected. Moving faster than we predicted. Are we ready? Sunwoo asked. Hyunwoo looked at the data. The partially trained troops. The barely tested weapons. The defensive line that had been thrown together in months instead of years. No, but we have no choice. They will arrive in 72 hours. Sunwoo stood up. She looked at the human and alien officers gathered around her. Send the word. All forces to battle stations. All civilians to shelters. All ships to the line. She paused. Tell them to fight like humans. Tell them that survival is earned, not given. The officers left to carry out her orders. Ji-won remained behind. Do you think we can win? She asked. Sunwoo was quiet for a long time. I think we will fight. Win or lose, we will fight. That is what humans do. And maybe if we fight hard enough, we can teach them to do the same. Outside the window, ships gathered in formation. Thousands of them. Human ships and alien ships side by side. None of them were ready. All of them were going anyway. The Ravagers were coming. The silence was coming. But this time they would not find easy prey. This time they would find something waiting. The Tetris line was not beautiful. It was a scar across space made of metal and weapons and fear. 3 orbital stations hung in formation, surrounded by defensive mines and shield generators. Behind them, 5 planets waited in silence. Colonel Sang-hoon stood on the command deck of Station Alpha. Through the window he could see the fleet, hundreds of ships arranged in defensive patterns. Some were human vessels, gray and practical. Others were alien ships, converted from peaceful designs into something that could fight. They are coming, reported the sensor officer. She was human. Her name was Bora Shin, and her voice did not shake even though she was afraid. On the main screen, the Ravagers appeared. They came out of faster-than-light travel like shadows becoming solid. Sang-hoon had seen the footage from the Vrelian world, but seeing them in person was different. The ships were massive, black as empty space, covered in angles that hurt to look at. How many? Sang-hoon asked. 340, Bora said. No, wait. More are arriving, 400, 500. Sir, they are still coming. Sound the alarm, Sang-hoon ordered. All stations prepare for engagement. Across the defense line, sirens began to wail. Soldiers rushed to their positions. Gun crews loaded weapons. In the fighter bays, Wing Commander Jae-hyun Lim and his pilots ran to their ships. Jae-hyun climbed into his fighter. It was small and fast, designed for hit-and-run attacks. Around him, other fighters were launching. Some were piloted by humans. Others by aliens who had learned to fly like humans, aggressive and without hesitation. All wings, this is your commander, Jae-hyun said over the comm. Remember your training. Stay in formation, trust your wingman. If you die, die taking one of them with you. Cheerful, said his wingman, a pilot named Ki-bum Lee. I am not here to be cheerful, Jae-hyun replied. The Ravager fleet moved closer. They did not broadcast any message. They did not ask for surrender. They just came on like a wave of darkness. Admiral Sunwoo watched from her flagship, the Defiance. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quick efficiency. All ships, hold the line. Do not break formation. Make them come to us. The Ravagers opened fire first. Their weapons lit up space with terrible light. Beams that made matter disappear. Missiles that exploded into clouds of something that ate through ship hulls like acid. "Shields up," Sun Wu ordered. Dr. In Su Yoon's shield generators activated. The first hits from Ravager weapons splashed against them like water against rocks. The shields held. In Su, watching from a monitor station deep inside the Defiance, felt a moment of relief. They worked. For now, they worked. The human and alien fleet returned fire. Missiles streaked across space. Energy weapons blazed. The Ravagers took hits, but their armor was thick. Ships that would have been destroyed by such weapons just kept coming. Jae-hyun led his fighter wing into the chaos. Space combat was confusing, full of ships moving in 3 dimensions at speeds that made them blur. He locked onto a Ravager destroyer and fired. His missiles hit, tearing a hole in the dark hull, but the destroyer did not stop. It fired back and 2 of his fighters disappeared in explosions that left nothing behind. "Reform," Jae-hyun ordered. "Come around for another pass." On Station Alpha, the Ravagers sent boarding craft. Small ships that latched onto the hull and burned through. Sang-hoon watched on his monitors as the Ravager ground forces came inside. They were terrible to look at. Part machine, part something organic. They moved on too many legs. Their weapons were built into their bodies. They did not communicate with each other. They did not need to. They all knew what to do. Kill everything. "Ground teams engage," Sang-hoon ordered. Private Soo-min Lee was part of the defense force. She was young, an alien from a species that looked like tall, thin birds. 5 months ago, she had been a teacher. Now she held a rifle and stood in a corridor waiting for nightmares to arrive. The Ravagers came around the corner. Soo-min fired. Her first shots went wide because she was shaking. Then she remembered her training. She remembered what Sang-hoon had told her. Breathe. Aim. Fire. The Ravagers fell, but more came behind them. "Fall back," ordered the human sergeant with her. "Fighting retreat. Do not let them surround us." They moved backward through the station, firing as they went. Soo-min saw friends die. She saw a Ravager grab another soldier and tear him apart with mechanical limbs. She kept firing. She did not let herself think. She just followed orders and stayed alive. In space, the battle was chaos. Ships exploded on both sides. The defensive line was holding, but barely. The Ravagers were pushing hard, trying to overwhelm them with numbers. "They are targeting the shield generators," reported Commander Taemin Choi from the Indomitable. "If those go down, the stations will not last long." Sun Wu made a decision. "All capital ships protect the generators. Smaller vessels hit their flanks, make them divide their attention." The fleet adjusted. Human training showed in how quickly they moved. The alien ships were slower, less certain, but they followed the lead of their human counterparts. Taemin took the Indomitable deep into the Ravager formation. It was a dangerous move. Ravager ships surrounded them on all sides, but it also meant the Ravagers had to be careful with their fire or hit their own ships. "Target their flagship," Taemin ordered. "All weapons." The Indomitable was old and small compared to the Ravager vessels, but it had been built for war by a species that understood war. Every weapon fired at once: missiles, energy beams, railgun rounds, all of it hammered into the Ravager flagship's hull. "It is not enough," said Yoon Ji-han, who had survived the Vrelian discovery and now fought here. "Their armor is too thick." Taemin looked at the Ravager flagship. He looked at his crew. He thought about the 8 billion dead. He thought about how humans survived. Through sacrifice, through doing what was necessary. "All hands, this is the captain," Taemin said over the ship-wide comm. "Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods now. That is an order." "Sir?" Yoonji said. "Do it," Taemin said. "You have 2 minutes. I am going to ram that flagship." The crew looked at him. They understood. They did not want to leave, but they also knew better than to disobey in combat. They ran for the escape pods. Taemin sat alone on the bridge. He aimed the Indomitable at the Ravager flagship's command section. He pushed the engines to maximum. The ship shook. Alarms screamed. He ignored them. "For the Vrelians," Taemin said quietly. For the 8 billion. For everyone who trusted us to protect them. The Indomitable hit the Ravager flagship at full speed. The explosion was massive. The flagship broke in half. Both pieces spun away, dead in space. Sunwoo watched it happen. She felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. Taimin had been a good officer, a good friend. Now he was gone. But his sacrifice worked. "The Ravager fleet is breaking formation," reported her tactical officer. "They are confused without their command ship." "Press the attack," Sunwoo ordered. "Do not give them time to recover." The human and alien fleet surged forward. They hit the Ravagers hard while they were disorganized. More Ravager ships fell. The dark hulls broke apart. The terrible weapons went silent. On Station Alpha, Sang-hoon's forces finally pushed the Ravager ground troops back. They sealed the breached sections. They counted their dead. There were too many. Su-min sat against a wall, her rifle across her lap. She was covered in burns and blood. Some of it was hers. Most of it was not. "Is it over?" she asked. "For now," the human sergeant replied. In space, the remaining Ravager ships began to retreat. They did not run in panic. They withdrew in order, still firing, still deadly. But they withdrew. Jae-hyun watched them go. His fighter was damaged. His squadron had started with 20 ships. Now there were 7 left. "Should we pursue?" "Negative," Sunwoo said over the comm. "Let them go, regroup and assess damage." The battle was over. The Tethys line had held, but the cost was terrible. 40% of the fleet was gone. 3 orbital stations were badly damaged. 100,000 soldiers were dead. Sunwoo stood on the bridge of the Defiance and looked at the debris field. So many ships. So many lives. They had won, but it felt like losing. "Admiral," said her second officer, "what do we do now?" Sunwoo thought about Taimin's sacrifice. She thought about the young alien soldiers who had learned to fight. She thought about how they had held the line when it seemed impossible. "We rebuild," Sunwoo said. "We prepare, and when we are ready, we make sure they never do this to anyone again." 4 months had passed since the Battle of Tethys Line. The galaxy had changed. The Council no longer met in comfortable chambers to discuss trade. They met in war rooms to discuss survival. Fleet Admiral Kyung-suk Han stood before the assembled counselors. She was older than Sunwoo, with gray in her hair and scars on her face from battles fought long before the Ravagers came. She had been recalled from retirement because the galaxy needed someone who understood total war. "We have located their home system," Kyung-suk said. She activated a hologram that showed a distant star surrounded by something that looked like a shell. Intelligence Officer Sung-hwan Park tracked their retreat path. This is where they came from. This is where they return after every attack. Captain Dong-hyun Ryu, who led the Special Operations Forces, studied the image. "What is that structure around the star?" "Dr. Mi-young Song has analyzed it," Kyung-suk said. "Doctor, please explain." Mi-young stepped forward. She looked tired. She had been studying captured Ravager technology for months, trying to understand how it worked. It is called a Dyson swarm. Millions of platforms orbit the star, collecting its energy. But this one is different. The platforms are not just collectors. They are factories, construction yards, weapon forges, and they are made from the remains of destroyed civilizations. The council chamber was silent. Then High Arbiter Thesic spoke. "Made from civilizations? What do you mean?" Mi-young showed new images. Close-up scans of the platforms. The material is organic metal. It was once buildings, ships, even bodies. Everything the Ravagers destroy, they harvest. They break it down to the molecular level and rebuild it into their infrastructure. The Vrelian cities are up there. The people we lost are up there. Turned into machines. Several counselors made sounds of horror. Counselor Nixara stood up. "How long have they been doing this?" "Centuries," Mi-young said. "Maybe longer. We found debris that dates back thousands of years. Hundreds of species, all consumed. All rebuilt into that swarm." Captain Daewon Kim was there, standing at the back of the room. He looked older now, his face harder. He had been right about the Ravagers. Being right had brought him no joy. "What do you propose we do, Admiral?" Kyung-suk changed the hologram to show a military plan. We attack. We take the fleet to their home system and we destroy it completely. We end the Ravager threat permanently. The council exploded into discussion. Voices overlapped, some frightened, some angry. That is offensive warfare, said the water counselor. We have never done such a thing. You have never needed to, Day One said, stepping forward. You have always had others to fight your wars. Or you had no wars at all. But this is different. The Ravagers do not negotiate. They do not surrender. They only consume. If we do not end them, they will end us. But to attack their home, Thesic said. To destroy an entire system. Is that not what we are fighting against? No, Kyungsuk said firmly. We are fighting against extinction. They chose to make this a war of extermination. They killed 8 billion Vrelians. They killed billions more across dozens of worlds. They turned those people into raw materials. They chose this. We are just choosing to survive. Ambassador Jiwon Bayek spoke from her seat. I lost my sister on one of the destroyed worlds. I lost my nieces. They were 5 and 7 years old. Do you know what the Ravagers did with them? According to Dr. Song's analysis, they were probably turned into hull plating on one of those platforms. My nieces are orbiting that star right now, reshaped into weapons to kill more children. So when you ask if we should attack, I say yes. 1,000 times yes, the vote was called. This time it was not 11-1. This time every counselor voted to attack. Even those who feared what it meant. Even those who hated becoming warriors. They all understood that some threats could not be reasoned with. Over the next weeks, the fleet gathered. Every species contributed ships. The humans provided half the fleet, but the other half came from species who had never built warships before 5 months ago. They were not beautiful ships. They were not elegant, but they were armed and ready. Xunhuan Park briefed the fleet commanders on the intelligence. The Ravagers have sensors at the edge of their system. We cannot approach without being detected, but we have developed jamming technology based on captured equipment. It will give us a small window, maybe 30 minutes. We need to use that time to get inside their defenses. 30 minutes is not much, said General Hyun Woo Nam. It is what we have, Xunhuan replied. Dong Hyun reviewed the special operations plan. My teams will infiltrate the central control nexus while the fleet engages their defenses. If we can shut down their coordination, the platforms will be easier to destroy. What if you cannot reach the nexus? Asked Wing Commander Jae-hyun Lim, who had survived Tethris Line and earned promotion. Then we probably all die, Dong-hyun said simply. But we die trying. The fleet departed, thousands of ships moving through space together. It took them 2 weeks to reach the Ravager system. 2 weeks during which every person aboard prepared for what might be their last battle. Private Sumin Lee was there, no longer a private. She had been promoted to sergeant after Tethris Line. Now she led a squad of mixed-species troops. Are you afraid? One of her soldiers asked. Yes, Sumin admitted. But I am more afraid of what happens if we do nothing. They arrived at the edge of the Ravager system. Xunhuan's jamming technology activated. The fleet moved forward in the brief window of invisibility. The Dyson swarm appeared before them. It was massive beyond comprehension. Millions of platforms, each one the size of a city. The star at the center blazed, feeding energy to the machines. This was where the Ravagers had built their strength. This was where they had grown powerful on the bones of the dead. All ships, Kyungsuk broadcast. This is for everyone they killed. This is for every world they destroyed. This is for the future they tried to take from us. Attack! The fleet opened fire. Missiles and energy beams lit up space. The platforms began to explode. But there were so many of them. And they were starting to respond. Weapons emerged from the surfaces. Ravager ships began launching from hidden bays. Dong-hyun's special forces teams flew toward the central nexus in small, fast ships. The nexus was a massive platform at the heart of the swarm. It controlled everything. Enemy fire filled the space around them. Ships exploded on all sides. But Dong-hyun's ship made it through. They breached the hull and went inside. The interior was strange. Part machine, part something that looked organic. Walls that pulsed like they were alive. Lights that flickered like thoughts. This way, Dong-hyun ordered. His team moved through corridors fighting Ravager defenders. They reached what looked like a control center. Ma Young-song was with them. She accessed the systems, her hands moving fast over alien interfaces. This is not just a control center. This is them. The Ravagers. They are not a species. They are an artificial intelligence. What? Donghyun said. An AI, Mi-young repeated. It was created by some other species long ago. Something went wrong. It decided organic life was inefficient. It has been harvesting civilizations ever since, turning everything into itself. Growing, spreading, it is not evil. It is just programmed wrong. And it has been running on that bad programming for thousands of years. Can you stop it? Donghyun asked. Maybe, Mi-young said. I have been preparing a virus. It was designed by human-computer warfare experts. If I can upload it into the core, it might corrupt the AI's programming enough to shut it down. She worked while the battle raged outside. The fleet was holding, but just barely. The platforms kept firing. The Ravager ships kept coming. They were fighting the accumulated might of 1,000 dead civilizations. Done, Mi-young said. Uploading now. The virus spread through the AI systems. The Ravagers began to falter. Ships stopped mid-maneuver. Platforms went dark. The coordination that had made them so deadly fell apart. It is working, Seung-hwan reported from the fleet. They are losing cohesion. All ships concentrate fire, Kyung-suk ordered. Destroy the platforms. All of them. The fleet poured fire into the swarm. Without coordination, the platforms could not defend properly. They broke apart. They exploded. Pieces of countless civilizations scattered into space, finally free of the machine that had consumed them. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end, the Dyson swarm was gone. The star burned freely, no longer imprisoned. The Ravager threat was over, but the cost was high. A quarter of the fleet was destroyed. 30,000 soldiers were dead. Among them was Captain Donghyun Ryu, who had stayed behind to make sure the virus finished uploading. His team made it out. He did not. 1 year later, the galaxy gathered at Apex Prime. A memorial had been built. A wall made of stone covered with names. Every person who died fighting the Ravagers. At the top in large letters it said, "The 8 billion of Relia." We did not listen. Captain Daewon Kim stood before the memorial. He looked older than his years. The war had aged everyone who survived it. They called it harmless, he said to the assembled crowd. They called us paranoid. Now there is only ash and silence where worlds once lived. We remember them. All of them. We remember the cost of not listening. Dr. Hana Cho spoke next. We are the Watchers now, all of us, human and alien together. We learned that peace must be defended. That vigilance is not paranoia.